Hello there, welcome to Jim's Cantina. I am joined this episode by, I would call him a legend.
Oh,
I would say a lot of people would call him a legend. I'm joined by the one, the only, Brodalorian.
hello there.
Hey Elvis, how are you? It's always weird doing the whole "how are you" thing because it's like this. We haven't spoken for 5 minutes before this, have we?
Right. It's not like we didn't just say, "How are you?" 5
Yeah,
minutes
right.
ago. Do
It
it over
just
again.
checked in with each other, make sure we were all right and stuff. But overall, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm really good,
Yeah,
man.
good.
Yeah, like, been kinda getting into the zone with, the art and stuff that I'm working on and hit
Nice.
1,000 subs recently, like, everything in the YouTube
Congratulations. About
thing.
damn time. I'm gonna say, like, 'cause I your videos are the videos that whenever they drop, I'm like, stop everything. Elvis has got a video out. I've got to
Aw.
go and check them out. No, because I find them really interesting. Um, because you're doing stuff that I believe is magic. And I'm like, this isn't real. This is just hocus pocus. But no, it turns out you're actually there doing doing these things. So if anybody hasn't checked out Elvis' channel, head over to the Brodalorian, subscribe there because your your builds are incredible.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate that. A few people really, they reach out and let me know how much they like something or they learned something or they enjoyed something. And if it weren't for people doing that, I don't know if I'd keep making the YouTube videos. To be
I
honest,
understand.
like Chris, for example, the nerd dad, he's always like when I'm showing him, like I'll send him pictures, like I was making this mask the other day and
Yep.
stuff, and he's always like, "You gonna make a video?" I'm like, I don't know, but he kind of pushes me. No, I love your videos, dude. Keep making them. So yeah, I love that. It's
Yeah, I
really appreciated.
the same. Like I because what I like to see is obviously the stuff that you put on Instagram is always the finished article, and the finished article always looks amazing. So to be able to see that at various stages is really cool. And you know what? It's really, really helpful because as everybody should know out there, Elvis made me a helmet. It's right here.
I saw the empty peg on your wall. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. I was like,
yeah.
where is it? Well, obviously, I was going to keep it here right next to me because it's my absolute pride and joy, and I mean, it's beautiful. I will put a link in the description of Elvis's build video of this because I go back and watch that over and over again because sometimes I look at my helmet, I'm like, damn, that's cool. Let me see how Elvis built it again.
I do like that video. I've watched it a few times now.
It's a real good one, and like, and then I just watched. I watched your you did a Praetorian Guard for Jesse.
Yeah,
I've
that
watched
one
that one. I've
that
watched that
one
one a
blew
few
up.
times too. Yeah, I've watched that one a few times because so Elvis made me that helmet, and I love it. And I was just like, right, I'm gonna I'm gonna make a full outfit, and this was over a year ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
13 months, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And ever since then, I've been like, I'm going to make a full outfit. It's going to happen. And I was like, right, I was thinking about buying a 3D printer. And then I got my hands on a 3D printer, and it's a pretty decent one. So I
Mhm.
printed everything. I've done a video. Again, link, Blair. Um, but now I'm at the point where I'm like, right, well, all the bits, the easy part's done, in my opinion. Like, I've printed everything.
Yeah.
Like, you and I both know that people seem to have this misconception that when you're 3D printing, you just hit upload a file, press go, and it's happy days,
That's how I felt before I got the printer.
right?
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh no, uh, you're lucky if you get something. What 40% of the time?
I've done a little better than that now, but yeah, at the beginning,
As
40%
time
was
goes on,
probably
yeah, right. As time
probably
goes on,
more.
you kind of you learn the little tips and tricks, and you also learn your printer as well. I think that's
It's like, why
big
do these
key to
helmets keep failing? What are you using for supports? Water
what
supports.
supports. And then you're like, I've used an entire roll on this small thing. It's just like you don't need that many supports. What are
Right.
you doing? So there's a lot of that that goes into it. I think but printing the parts is relatively, in my opinion, the easy part. And I finished printing the parts probably 4 months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. And so I've just
I
been
remember
sitting
you
here.
had some in that video you did. You had gauntlets and
Mhm.
a chest plate. Did you have thighs already too? I don't remember.
No, because I'm done thighs.
Okay.
I've cut down as much as I possibly could. I was like, this is going to take me years.
Oh, and you have the
Um,
pauldrons, right? Or the
yeah,
elbows or the shoulders.
the shoulders. Yeah, I've got the pauldrons. Everything's ready. I've done hand pieces. I've done the gauntlets. I've got shin guards. I've got knees.
Mhm,
Yeah. So pretty much everything that I want doing at the moment is printed.
mhm.
But now
Now
I'm
it's the
like,
hard step of getting it paint ready. That's the worst.
and I'm like, there's only one person I would trust to learn from, and that's you.
Oh,
Because, like, well, dude, I mean, I've seen your stuff, it's immaculate. Like, anybody that watches your video sees how good it is. Not just like the super shiny things like my helmet and Jesse's, but like that mask that you've got right there
yeah,
with all the weathering and stuff.
yeah.
I mean, that's so cool. Look at
Yeah.
that.
This one was really trying to make it just dirty. If I can get the light right, you can see it's actually a lumiluster underneath here. So there you can kind of see it turn to
Oh
silver.
yeah,
But yeah, it looks black, but it's actually like Beskar underneath. It's super, super shiny, and
that's
I
so
got
cool.
scratches on the eyes and stuff. And yeah, turned out pretty cool. I'm actually selling this one. Hopefully someone might want to buy it. I printed one for Chris, and it's pretty big. Like I can see out of like one eye at a time.
Right.
So I printed another one at a little smaller, and that's the one I sent to Chris. So this was just an extra one lying around that I painted
That
for fun.
see, that's the other thing people don't realize. You're like, right, I'm just going to print a helmet, right? And if you're lucky enough to have a printer that's big enough for a full helmet, you're like, oh, winner, just print a helmet. It doesn't
Yeah,
fit, and I'm just like,
I printed a
every
Darth
time,
Vader 3 times before I got the size right.
like, and there's no way. Like, I was like, I'm going to be smart, right? I'm going to measure my head
Mhm.
with calipers, ow,
Yeah,
and
here, my cosplay calipers.
there you go. See,
Measure that
see,
distance. That's it.
you're smart. Yours are plastic, mine are metal, and
Oh,
I'm just like jabbing myself in the head, right? I was like, okay, so I've got all the measurements. No, it still didn't work. I was just
yeah.
like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I ended up finding someone had made, I can't remember where I got it from. Yes, I can. It was Jeddah Workshop, and I bought their newest Sabine. I wanted a new Sabine helmet, not to be made into Sabine's helmet. I'm actually going to do something custom with it.
Yeah, just that model.
But that model's really, really nice. It's quite sleek. It's
Mhm.
relatively a straightforward print, but it comes with a sizing ring as well. So you print the sizing
That's
ring
nice.
first,
Yeah,
and then you can. So literally, you're only printing like an out. But now I've got that sizing ring, and I've saved it at that size. Anytime I put a helmet in, I throw that in and make sure that it fits.
nice. Yeah, that's smart.
So far,
One of my
it's working.
favorite I subscribe to a few Patreons, but one of them is, Mystery Makers, and every
Hmm.
time he makes a helmet, he makes a really impressive sizing ring that goes this way, the helmet,
Oh wow!
and around. So it's only like 4 millimeters thick, so, I mean, it's a real easy print. You can put it all on the bed and get it done in, like, an hour, but then you're only wasting, a couple of meters of
Yeah,
filament versus a whole reel. Um, but yeah, I like it when the model makers do that. That's
yeah.
nice.
It's a really nice little touch, and I think it really helps. It helps newbies, but it also helps anybody that's been printing for any amount of time, because it's just like you have an eye for it. I mean, I know I do. Like, I've printed a Daredevil helmet 4 times, and every time I'm staring at it, I'm like, those eyes aren't right. They're too small.
And a
Um,
Daredevil's hard because that really needs to be like form fitting, Otherwise it just looks awkward.
yes, yeah. I would argue that it's probably still too form fitting, in that I put it on and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm ever taking this off again. But yeah.
I've considered scanning myself.
Mhm.
So there's an iPhone app where you can just use the LiDAR on the iPhone to scan yourself and create a model. And Uncle Jesse is a YouTuber that I watch, and he did it. So he takes the scan and then makes a perfect model of his head, and then when he brings in a mask or a helmet, he can have the two STLs next to each other and make sure it fits. But like for example, on a Daredevil helmet, he can grab parts of the STL and move it. So like if the eyes are here, he can grab on that and kind of move them over, or bring it closer, or bring it to his
Oh
cheek.
wow.
Yeah, so he like customizes how
The
the STL is going to
That's
print versus the
very cool.
actual model. Yeah, it's smart.
Because that is the thing when it comes to a helmet, sure, it might fit you that way, but there's no guarantee that the eyes are going to be in the right place because
Yeah, or
we
the
don't
cheeks
always
will be
have
like
eyes.
2 inches off of your cheeks,
Yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
it is a nightmare. I've just finished printing this. I posted it yesterday. It's Kanan's mask. It's two parts. It was a nice, easy, simple one. Um, the second part's actually got really nice like wood detailing to it.
That's Kanan's mask?
Yeah,
It's so big.
it's huge. It's
Yeah.
yeah, but and you're like, there's no way that's Kanan's mask. But then when you actually go, I'm just going to use this part.
I
When you
thought
go to
those
put
were
it on,
shoulders.
yeah, it actually is. It fits quite nicely. So I'm
Huh.
like, yeah, I didn't realize it was that big either. I thought it was just literally just covered this part, but no, it goes all the way back. So that's, I mean, that's on the to-do list along with
Well, that'll be a lot
everything.
easier than a helmet.
Well, yes, I'd hope so. But what I decided to do is I decided that I would start actually working on my outfit. Like it's printed, it's done. So this weekend just gone, I started sanding.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So, so I was like, I know. So that's what I do is I bring up your videos. I'm like, okay, well, I know what Elvis does, because obviously I mentioned it to you before. I'd seen people use resin,
Mhm.
3D print resin, but I knew before you weren't ready to do that. But obviously, your one that you did for Jesse is
Yeah, I did it a few times, and like on the Boba Fett blaster, some Loki horns, and a Revan mask. I did the resin on, and you'll see I'm wearing like this like full face mask, and I'm like covered in like a bio suit, and I was so uncomfortable with it. But now that I have done a lot of resin printing, now it's like, all right, I got some on me. Go wash it off with soap and water. And like I, I, I don't want to say I'm throwing caution to the wind, but I'm just a lot less nervous around it. I
yeah,
still wear gloves, and I still take all the precautions that you're supposed to. But now I feel comfortable enough to do it. I don't. I guess I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for a newbie,
yeah.
but I mean, you have been printing and stuff like that, so I think you've got a pretty good grasp on this. Just
You'd
know that
imagine,
it's toxic. It's not
yeah,
good
for
stuff,
sure,
right? Like you can't even throw it in the garbage. You have to go set any stuff in the sun to fully let it cure, and then you can put it in the garbage.
right.
Um, but yeah, I have to admit, I think it's my new preferred method. In fact, the
It,
last two things that I did, last three things that I didn't even use filler primer. I just
oh
used
wow,
yeah. Um, and
that
then
must cut down on so much time.
uh well,
But you're a perfectionist as well, though, aren't you?
the last few things, yeah, especially like that Praetorian, there's not a single scratch mark in it. Like
Yeah,
it was I really wanted to make that one perfect. Mostly because it's going to Jesse, who I know buys $1,000 helmets, and he knows what something is supposed to
yeah,
look like.
for
So I
sure.
wanted it to be great, but yeah, no, the resin has been sanding so nice that I've just been using regular sandable primer, not the high build filler primer.
Mm,
Now, depending on sandpaper and what you use and stuff like that, you might still need filler primer. Like, so on the resin, I did 220, 320, 400, and then I wet sanded it with a Scotch Brite pad, which is
yeah,
almost like a between 4 to 1,000 grit. Um, and when I was all done with that, I mean, it was just perfectly smooth. I did the sandable primer just to see what it would look like, and there was zero flaws. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna skip the filler primer. So if you put enough work into the resin, yeah, you might be able to skip it. But honestly, one shot of filler primer is not that expensive. Might as well
Yeah.
just get it done. Yeah.
So I've decided that I'm going to
Your
try and
fans
do
are
it.
probably thinking this is the boringest cantina
Not at
you've
all. Not
ever
at
had.
all. No, not at all. Not at all. No. I listen. If I find it interesting, that's all that matters. That's all. That's all I care about. I'm like, and I find it absolutely fascinating. Also, you and I have been trying to be on a cantina for well over a year,
Yeah,
and I
when you sent
always
me the
and I
helmet, you're
kept
like, "We need to do a
promising,
cantina." Yeah.
"You're next. You're next," and life gets in the way, and it's been busy, busy times. But we're here, and it's definitely not boring. It's anybody that watches your videos would find it really interesting to delve deeper into that incredible brain of yours to figure out how to do this stuff. So I figured that I would do it as well because I might get some tips myself. So
Yeah,
I'm literally going to pick your brains right here, right now, right?
let's
Because
do it.
I have some stuff that I've done, and it's not good. Um, Hmm. So I just decided to start on my shin guards. My shin guards are super simple. They're just nothing crazy on them.
Mhm.
I do have some crazy stuff I'd like your advice on, but for now, I thought, you know what, start on something. It's three sides, no dramas, right? So I started with, I did a 60, then a 120, then a 240.
That's more than enough to get it ready for primer or resin.
This is what I thought. But I could, so this is why I wanted to pick your brain because I'm like, that's what I thought. I was like, that's feeling like you can tell. Like when I first started printing stuff and I felt it, I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to tell when this is ready. But you can tell. Like the minute you start doing it and then you start running your hand across, and you're like, oh, that's like butter, you know? And then you're like, it's ready. But
Well, at some point, you can sand too much,
yeah, well,
and
this is what I'm
then
thinking.
things like resin or filler primers aren't gonna hang on to it as well.
Mm,
So, I mean, some people will sand all the way up to 600. I personally feel that's a waste because you might as well I mean, you might as well do the 600, after you've done filler primers and stuff like that. But when it's pre filler primer, like the high build filler primer or the resin, will fill in scratches from a 220.
yeah,
So you really don't need to sand more than that.
that's from watching your videos. That's kind of what I figured. I was just like, you know what, that's about as far as I need to go. Um, but I could still see lines. Couldn't feel the lines, but I can still see lines.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm sure it's fine. Like, because like how far do you go? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So so when I sand with the first round of 60 or 80, something under 100, I sand to the point where it's 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 really got almost a level. So think of for those of you who don't know, when you print a helmet or whatever, the print head goes like this in a circle, and then it does it again, and then does it again, and it builds these levels up. Now, the print head is just on a uh, what is it like a how would you describe what the print head's on? It's like a track, almost like the track
Yeah,
of a tank, like a tank tread that moves
that's
the
exactly
head
what it's
back
on.
and forth. So it might be off by a half a millimeter. So here's where it starts and it prints around. And next time it might be off by half a millimeter and it prints around. It might be off by another half millimeter, prints around. So these layers sometimes go, like this,
Yeah,
this, and they're not 100% lined up. And that's what layer lines are. Now, again, it's only like maybe a half a millimeter difference. So it's or less. So it's very small. But so what you end up with is like, here's where it should be printing. Here's a layer that printed a little bit to the left. Here's a layer that printed a little bit to the right. This high layer is what you need to sand off. You need to get everything down to here.
yeah.
Now, fillers will fill the stuff that's down here. So you just need that top layer gone, and then you can start using the fillers if that makes sense. I wish I had a graphic or something that I could show.
That makes perfect sense for me, especially when you're feeling stuff as well, because you can feel like I've got one of my pauldrons here. I'll show it up close. So you can this nothing's been done with this. You can see there's
Oh
an
yeah, yeah, I see the
issue
lines.
there. You see the lines all the way through it. It's clearly yeah, it's printed fine. It's not perfect, but it's nothing that can't be dealt with. You
Yeah,
know,
see, like, that
but
line
that's
in the top edge, there's a significant line in the top edge, that's a high point. See
yeah,
yeah, right there. That's a high line, so that's a layer shift where it was a little bit too far forward, that's a high line. The lines, like, kind of right between the corners of the angle, that's a low line, so you don't need to worry about sanding that because you
you
shouldn't
can't
get
get to
down
that.
that low,
No,
but the
if you're
high
getting
ones, you
that
gotta.
far down, you've gone too far.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how many walls you put in the print, like if you do 4 or 5 walls, you could go down to that bottom line, but if you're only printing like 3 walls like I do,
Yeah, I think
you don't
three.
wanna get to that line, it's gonna start to get
No.
fragile.
And that's another reason why I was just like, I can still see the lines, but I can't feel the lines.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? If I can feel them, then there's still work to be done. But if I can't, then I'm like, that should be fine. So I then went ahead and I did put on some primer filler.
Okay, like a high
I
build?
use I use this. I don't know.
Yep, that's a high build.
Okay. So I did this. I did 3 coats.
Oh, okay, that's a lot.
Oh, well, I don't know what I'm doing. So I was just like, I'm just gonna do loads, right? So I did a coat and I waited like however long it says to wait, and I did. So then I went back to it and I grabbed my whatever it is, 360, 320, whatever.
Mhm.
And I started going over it again. And I think it's good. However, I think I've also gone too far
Let's
because you
see.
can start seeing the color come through from beneath.
Well, that's good. So, if you start
That
so
is good. So
when
that's where I'm at with it.
yeah, so I actually this looks pretty good. I actually sand it down where you don't see the filler anymore. All you
Oh,
see are the
really?
you only see the low lines. So the low lines will be black, but the part is still the color of the PLA.
Which is purple.
Okay, yeah. So I would have sanded that to where it's purple with some black lines versus
Okay.
yeah, but that does look smooth. That looks like that would be good enough for yeah.
It feels nice, you know.
So
But like you can still, I don't know if you can like
see where your middle finger is right there? See that purple with some black lines in it?
yeah,
That spot, that's how I sand the whole prop is till it looks to that point.
right. Okay. But you see that you can it's not gonna there's you can still see the lines in it. You see what I mean?
Well, so the black lines, dark black lines are
Yeah.
low points.
So
So
I'm gonna always see those, aren't I?
you should see those, yes.
Yeah. So
Now, if you had a
okay.
black PLA, you wouldn't. But
No. This is why I was just like, I'm gonna print it on something different color than the
mhm.
primer I've got, because then you can see what you're doing.
What I would do is, if you're worried, like if you just really can't tell or see, you can use a guide coat. So grab a regular primer, like a white or gray or something,
Mhm.
and mist it. You don't have to like do a full coat of it, and then do your light sanding and see if you still see lines. If you start seeing the gray or the white lines, now yeah, it means you still filled more. If you're not seeing the
Right.
lines, it's filled enough.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. It's good to know that I haven't gone too far. I was worried that when I started seeing purple that I'd gone too far, but it
Yeah.
feels really, really smooth. The other thing is, I have no intention of ever getting it to this, right? Because I'm like, that's next level, right? For me at this present moment in time. That's impossible. I'm going to be like, you know what? Elvis is a genius. I'm not touching that with a barge pole.
You could totally do that.
No, no. Because the problem is I know what I'm like, and I think I'm a little bit like you in this respect, where I'm like, if it didn't come out perfect like that did, I'd be like, right, well, I need to start again.
Well, I mean, what you've done so far is I I don't take this wrong because it's a compliment.
No, for sure.
It already looks like a new level from your last suit, your last
Oh
art.
yeah, for sure.
Like
Yeah,
it's already beyond that. So like it no, it's for real looking good, not like I'm trying to be nice, but like it looks how it should be.
Yes. Well, this is why I decided to do it in PLL as opposed to foam, which is what it was before. And it was fine, but that was a Halloween costume. This is a Comic Con costume. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, but also in my head, I'm like, I don't want my entire suit to be that shiny anyway,
Yeah, you gonna
because
weather it?
I don't know if I'm going to weather it, because the whole weathering scenario I'm confused by too. Like, I don't really I know that I'm going to go too far with things, and so it'll
I
be
don't
like
think you will.
No, actually, I've seen some of your vids, and it's just like I'm like, he's done a lot. I think it was you did a scout trooper helmet.
I did? Oh, the clone scout?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, it got to a point where I was like, well, that's clearly enough. And you kept going, and I was just like, this is crazy. And then I was like, you know what? That looks really, really good.
Yeah, no, that one needed to be muddy and gross.
Yeah, and it worked for it. But
Mhm.
for me, for this, I'm thinking, in season one of Mando, before he decked himself out in Beskar,
Yeah,
when it was like his helmet was super shiny and sleek, but the rest of him was just kind of put together.
yeah, mhm.
That's what I'm feeling with this, because there are still there's dings in this, like I don't know if you see it. There's like a ding just there, but I'm not gonna worry about that. Like, I know if I wanted to make it perfect, I'd need to like party that and then sand it down and but I'm
Yeah,
not gonna.
or resonant, but yeah,
Or resin it. I don't think I'm ready for resin yet. I think I want to build this whole outfit this way, and then when I come to do whatever's next,
makes sense.
which, to be fair, like the reason I printed a Sabine is because I'm actually making my girlfriend her own one as well.
Nice, cool.
So yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I will print her own thing, and then maybe I'll do resin on that and see how
What's
it
her
goes.
color scheme gonna be?
We don't know.
Okay.
She's and ahhing, because obviously she, like me, she's quite spooky, and she does like purple and black. I'm like,
Mhm.
we can't match. That's too
Why not?
that's too on the nose, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's just like um so I she doesn't know whether to go like with like cobweb motif on it, maybe. I'm not sure. But then she's like, well, you can paint that. I'm like, I'll be like, Elvis, how do I do any
Well,
of
you
this?
paint it white, you put some spiderweb lace over it, you paint it black, and then when you lift it up, the white
You're done.
spiderweb's left. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so with this, I feel like I'm probably, it's really smooth, and I feel happy with it. So
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna paint it. I feel like this is ready for paint.
Go for it.
So this is going to be black, but what I'm actually going to do after I painted it black is the edges around the edges going to be purple.
Okay.
This is where you come in again, because I need to know what color purple that is, so I can match it.
Yeah, it's a candy grape color, by Krylon, I think. I'll send you, it's discontinued. So it's,
Always the way.
I know 'cause, also use that purple on Batmando's helmet on some of the
Oh,
trim
I
pieces.
saw. I saw. I was like, all right, just using my color for him. I don't.
I mean,
It's
for
very.
a couple little pieces, but, he is making a blaster right now, and he wants to match the helmet, and we found the can on Amazon, actually. So I know you can still get it, but, the manufacturer, I think, discontinued the color, so
Right.
I'd go looking for it sooner than later.
Okay. Well, thankfully, I'm actually doing the reverse color scheme. So where the helmet is very purple with black accents, the outfit's very much going to be
Oh,
black
I
with
love that
purple accents.
idea.
Yeah. So that the helmet stands out on its own and it doesn't just blend in with the rest of
What
it.
color will your are you gonna do, like, a flight suit or anything underneath?
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with black on that.
Okay.
And just full black, but so then the accents of purple will like pop a little bit more, and the diamond is going to be shocking pink, like those
Okay.
guys are.
I think because you're doing the edges, you're, like, lining it with purple, doing it on top of a black flight suit will probably be cool because it
Yeah.
will have contrast. A dark charcoal gray would also probably look pretty cool too, because then you could weather it and make it dirty in places, and it would just add like a new level or dimension to the suit. But I did a black one, and I tried weathering it a little bit, and it's like you can't even see it. So
You
it's
can't see
yeah,
anything. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Like, I've literally just sanded this. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm a little way away from worrying
yeah.
about
2 years
the.
from now, send me a photo what it looks like.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that it won't take that long because I'm like, the minute I know what I'm doing, I feel like I'm going to get quicker at it, and I'll be like, already, I'm like, right, okay, these bits are done. I need to start sanding the chest piece. I need to start doing the pauldrons. I need to,
Yeah.
I'm ready to go now. I feel comfortable enough to know what I need it to feel like. So, but
At some point, it's just like you get all your pieces primed, and you just have to have like a sanding day.
yeah,
And like I like to try to get in like this zoned out mental state where it's just like, music in the headphones, or maybe a beverage, maybe other things, just like something to really, you can just kind of get lost in what you're doing, and then just sand. Because if you go out like I'm gonna really just get something done, I find I'll screw stuff up, or I want to start on a different project, whatever. I just need to like completely zone out and not even pay attention, and then I get
yeah,
through it somehow.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, I can see that. When I was doing it, I was just like, wow, this is this is boring. But but
Like
it
I'll
had to be
listen
done.
to I was gonna say podcast, but like stuff like this, like the YouTube, the long form videos.
Yeah.
Like I can sit and listen to one of those all day.
I tend to, when I'm doing things like this, busy work, I tend to put The Office on and
Okay.
just kind of zone out with The Office on. So
That's a
I'll
great show
probably
where
do
you
that.
you always know what's going on, you don't really have to pay attention, and that's a good one.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I've watched it so many times, I know what's coming up. So it's just, but it's there. It's like a friend. It's like a hug. Um, so I have a question for you though, in regards to detailing,
Yeah.
because I've printed a couple of pieces here that actually have detail in the print,
Mhm.
and I don't know what to do when it comes to sanding because I don't want to lose it. It's this.
Okay, so this one's not bad at all. So this one
Okay, I
I
mean,
would
it can get worse because I can go down to that size.
yeah, but those are all straight lines. Straight lines are okay.
Okay.
It's, here, let me so here's my chest plate, and some of these, you can see this one's been weathered and it actually started to melt in the sun a little bit, so if I get the angle just right, you can kinda see those lines a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Those are the supports underneath where it started to melt, but anyway, um, stuff with the straight lines, that you just fold your sandpaper in half. What I like to do is take, like a putty spreader, just any
Hmm.
like a small piece of plastic, and I cut that into a small rectangle, and I fold my sandpaper over it, and then you take that edge up to the edge
Ah, I
and sand
see.
the corner. Needle files work for kind of like pre-sanding, but yeah, fold it over, sandpaper, just on anything kind of firm, so it keeps the shape,
Hmm.
and then stuff like this. I had to sand
Yes.
every weird little angle, and I hate to say it, but it's the same method. Just folding it over, and like I get it this way, and then I get it this way, and then I get it this way, and then I go that corner, I get that way, and there's not a lot you can do. Um, at some point, when I kind of get it where I want to, I'll use the Scotch Brite pad,
Hmm.
and then I can really go over stuff, and it gets into the corner and over the curves, and it just takes a little bit of the scratches out before I use like a filler or something. But most of the time, I'm using the Scotch Brite over filler or over paint sometimes too if I need to color
Okay.
sand it. But yeah, there's there's no good answer, Jim. I'm sorry to say it's yeah, it sucks, but those shoulder pieces should be relatively easy. Just use folded sandpaper and go right up to the edge, and then turn it and go up to that edge, and
Okay, no, that makes sense because I was just like, I don't want to lose any because some of it, like it kind of fades out into the thing, and I was just like, I don't want to lose any of that.
Yeah.
But I know, obviously, I know I've got to sand it because you can feel it. So I was just like, but that makes sense. If I just get in there like real tight and just
And
got to
you
do it.
won't lose as much as you think you would.
Okay.
But what's great is you're doing two tone, so you could paint the detail back if you lose it.
Oh well,
So
that's what I'm doing anyway.
with a piece of tape, yeah, you just, like if you started to lose that edge of the thing, whatever, you just have your tape go past that edge, and then when you paint it, it's gonna look like it was there the whole
Yeah,
time.
that's exactly. Oh, I dropped a bit. So the main part is going to be black. The outside edge is going to be purple, and that design's going to be purple too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Now,
that's it.
one thing that I ran into with your helmet that was not fun was the purple didn't look so great on black. So
Okay.
when I taped it off, I had to do white primer first and then the purple so that it was brighter.
Okay,
Um,
that's good to know.
and something I learned from actually Darth Rage, one of his videos recently. So when you tape off the the fulcrum, the diamonds and stuff, um, do one light coat with your black first. And that is
Okay.
going to fill any little pieces where that tape might be lifted even just a fraction of a millimeter. So if you do black first, that's gonna get that tape straight down. But don't do a heavy coat, especially because when you pull up the tape, you don't want lots of coats because it's just gonna peel up pieces
Yeah.
of paint. So a light coat of the black after tape and then do like a white primer and then the purple.
Okay.
Again, light, light, light white primer, and then you can do a regular coat with the purple.
Okay.
And
Cool.
then
That's good to know actually, because I was going to just go tape it off and do the purple over the top of the black, but if
I'm assuming you've painted a little bit, so you know how to like peel the tape back at an angle and everything, so you keep the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay.
I did it with that one that's up there. You know,
Okay.
my original.
Yeah, the boba one, the boba
Yeah,
prototype.
yeah, yeah.
Fulcrum.
So yeah, no, I'm okay with the taping and the peeling and the gentle. I'm good
Mhm.
with that. It's just I think once I'm ready for paint, I feel like I semi know what I'm doing. I know it's not going to be perfect. I know that for a fact because I'm heavy-handed with paint, and I know I need to kind of instead of being like, oh well, there's a gap there. I'm just like, just do the coat, let it dry. That's what another coat's for.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you're gonna do it kind of battered or not pristine, you can always take so what I do is I take the lid to my spray can, I just spray a little bit in the cap, and then I take the tiniest little brush and I will go clean up edges around stuff if it happened to, get imperfect.
Yeah.
And honestly, sometimes it not being perfect is kind of a fun look too. So
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I'm going to lean into that because I'm like, you know what? It's the first time I'm doing it. It's not going to be perfect. And I think if I put too much pressure on myself for it being perfect, it's never going to get finished.
I feel
So,
that. I feel that.
yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Give yourself a little bit of a break
Mhm.
and just do it as best you can. Put it together. And I'm sure as time goes on, I'm going to be like, you know what? I want to do this. And I'll change it up and I'll mix it up and I'll do a new
Mhm.
thing. You know, it's all it's all practice and it's all fun. I mean, at the moment, it's fun.
I would say the good news is that no matter how bad you screw it up, you can sand it and do it again.
Well, there
Um,
is that.
although that happened to me today, and I'm still like, because of it.
Yeah, yeah, there is that.
I
Um,
had a prop that I had. Let's see, primer, clear coat, alumuluster, clear coat, gold coat, clear coat. So on the fifth coat, I dropped it.
that's actually
And they're
heartbreaking.
very specific layers in order so that the gold is shiny.
Yeah,
And yeah, I dropped it on the last one and I looked at it and I thought, you son of a bitch. Sanded it all. We got to redo them all. So
that
if it
is
wasn't for
actually
the dry
heartbreaking.
time, it wouldn't be such a big deal.
Well, that's just it, isn't it? You're like, okay, so I know I can paint this in about an hour. Yeah, that's about 3 hours worth of work because you could paint one part of it.
That high build primer, determine how long you have to wait because whatever the can says is probably a lie. Like,
So I can't remember. What does it say?
well, how long did you wait before sanding it?
Like a day?
A day is good. So so what I tell people is you can get really, really cheap filler primer for $5 a can over here, Rust-Oleum
Mhm.
filler sandable primer. The stuff is crap. It's really bad. It gums up the sandpaper, so after you've sanded in an area for like less than a minute, you look at your sandpaper and it's just all gummy from the primer, and you have to throw the sandpaper out and use a new piece. So the times I have to use the cheap stuff because that's all I can get right now, and I can't wait for something from Amazon, or I don't want to drive to the automotive paint store. Um, I let it dry for like 2 days because that
Right.
water-based stuff really takes a long time to dry out, and then it doesn't gum up your sandpaper. So if it's gumming up, just let it dry longer. It's not even worth dealing with the gumming of the sandpaper.
Fair enough. Yeah, I noticed a bit of it, but I was like, it said a day, so I was like, you know what, I had other things to do anyway, so
Yeah.
like, just leave it for a day.
See, now I use
Um,
lacquer stuff, and you can sand it in almost 15 minutes. It's pretty nice.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
also
See
like
that,
15 a can, but
but it's like, what do you want to do? Do you want to spend the time, or do you want to spend the money? Pick
right.
one.
Yeah.
Um, so right. So one last question, because I don't often get to talk to someone who knows what they're talking about. Um, Once I've painted this, once I've spray painted it and I've done my purple edges, I have to put a clear coat on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's like,
so your helmet has a polyurethane show clear coat on it. It's the shiniest stuff you can get. In fact, it can be a lot shinier than yours because I had a little bit of orange peel on that one, which kills me every time I see it because I can see it. And I wish I would have
I mean, I
wet
can't.
sanded that. It could have been better, believe it or not. But
No.
it yeah. So anyway, that was a urethane show clear coat, and it's you have to mix it in two parts with a hardener, and it's just it's the nicest stuff, but
Okay.
it's the hardest, most complicated stuff too. You can get a 1K clear coat, just 2K just means two parts. 1K means there's no parts to mix. So not a fancy term or anything, but a 1K clear coat will be shiny, not as shiny,
Gotcha.
but still gloss. And then you get into some other type of clear coats. You got your satin and you have your matte finish. I stay away from matte as much as possible because of the problems I've had with it. Depending on the humidity, like I'm in Houston, Texas, which is very high humidity. It A little bit of humidity gets in the clear coat and it makes it cloudy. So the matte finish stuff I try to stay away from. The cheapest satin acrylic clear coat that I could find from the hobby store for $5 a can, I find is the best. Even when I'm doing like this has the $5 satin finish clear on it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Um, it just makes it look real. It makes it look like it was meant to be that way. Where the gloss, you're like, oh, that's shiny, and it you clearly want it to look shiny. The matte finish will almost look like it's rough to the touch.
Right.
And I find that the satin finish, just the cheapest satin acrylic, is what really gives it that lived in look. Um,
See, that's the kind of look I want for the rest of it. I want the
it's like
helmet
it
to
was
stand
shiny
out.
at one point, and it's just kind of
It's just
dulled
been
over
battered a
time.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would go with for those pieces is a satin finish. It's also the best for photography because you don't get like you've tried taking
Right.
a picture of that helmet, right? It's
Yeah, it's
impossible.
impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. That's really good. I feel like I know a lot more than I did, and I feel good about what I've done so far. So that's good.
When
That's
I
good.
when
Thanks
I
for that.
decided to weather my armor, which was like a big decision, because you can't exactly just undo that.
Nope.
So I weathered all of my armor and then my helmet. I didn't want to weather just yet. Like I wasn't ready to commit to because I didn't want to have to make another helmet. Did my camera just do that weird thing?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I some new Apple thing. You do this, and I think I get balloons. Yeah, I don't even know why it does that.
I love it.
I think there's one more, like a rock and roll show. There we go. Look at that. I need to turn that off. But anyway, my helmet,
That's amazing.
instead of weathering it, because it had that same show clear coat on it, I just did satin over it. Um, and now, like, you can see the blue, and it's not just shine. Like my Mando helmet, you can see the
Yeah,
white shine on it. But this one, you can see all that blue, and there's no glare coming off the lights or anything because I did that satin finish on it. So
it's nice.
yeah,
So
if you ever decide to weather that shiny helmet, that's I would do a satin finish before anything else.
never get note. It's perfect. It's perfect just as it
Alright.
is, and it will never be touched. Um, Only for when I'm like actually wearing it and stuff. It's a perfect fit as well. It has to be said. Like I don't know how you managed to get it to fit my head so perfectly, but well done.
That was luck. Yeah, I don't I made it fit my head and thought, "I'm
Yeah,
sure our heads are probably somewhat
yeah.
similar in shape. If it don't fit me, it might not fit him." So that yeah.
No, mate. Again, I love that helmet so much. It's and at this point, I've got a lot of helmets. I've bought a lot. I've printed a few, but it's still absolutely 100% my favorite because I'm like, first and foremost, it's custom. It's me, but it was made by you, and that means more than anything else. I think it's more important to me than stuff that I've done myself. So thanks again.
I recently experienced that myself. Tim so Matt gave me this Black Series, Stormtrooper, and Tim made me this custom 501st clone,
Nice.
and it's just it just hits different when it's something someone, like, made for you, like, it's just yeah, so I really appreciate that helmet a lot because I know that he took the time and, like, made it for me.
That's just it. That it means more than anything. And I know that obviously you did one for Paul. I'm
Mhm,
sure
yep,
he's put a video of it somewhere.
mhm.
And that one I love because of the different color shifts that you get in the paint. I love watching it when you start painting stuff and you kind of do different things with it. You're like that one was really interesting to watch because it was kind of like a chameleon, wasn't
Yeah, color shift paint, that's very, very difficult to paint because, if you get one like so when you paint, you probably know this already, but for those who might not, like, you start spraying before you're on the prop, and then you let go after you've passed the
it?
prop. So you don't get any tiny little splatters on the actual prop because when you first push it, a little couple splatters come out. So you got to get the splatters out, spray, let go, splatters out. Spray, splatters out, prop, let go, splatters out. And with his, I got like two little tiny splatters on his because I started to run out of paint in the can. So it wasn't that I was letting go or pressing it at the prop, it just started to spit because it ran out of paint. And I almost cried. I was like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to redo this whole helmet because of that tiny little dot of but thankfully with the second coat it all blended in, so it was fine. But
those second coats they hide a multitude of sins.
it was a nerve-wracking paint job to do. Um, yeah, just like yours. Like yours has actually been painted twice. I had to sand that one all the way down and redo it
Well,
because
I
I
mean, I didn't help because I was just like after you'd
oh,
finished it,
that's
I
right,
was like,
because I clear coated it and then you were like, "Can
"Can
you
you
do the
paint it?"
purple?" Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that.
I'm a jerk like that. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry, but I'm so glad that you did it because I could have never got it that nice.
Oh, that was a good helmet. I like that one. I like
Yeah.
every helmet I've made though.
Well, you're very good at it, and like people do think that you get a 3D printer and you just start printing stuff, but it's like we said, the 3D printing part. Once you know what you're doing, and there is a learning curve to that. Um, what you do to it post process, that's where the artistry comes through, and you can see that in your work, and you can see how much you care about it because of how nice it comes out. Like that Praetorian Guard, man, I was just like, oh, that was That was so shiny. I was just like, that's beautiful. That is actually beautiful.
I actually wore gloves in that video when I was showing it off because I didn't want to put fingerprints on it. And after I hit done recording for the on my computer here for the YouTube video, I literally, in the gloves and everything, went straight to UPS and had them wrap it in plastic, and then I
Nice.
took the gloves off, like, because I didn't want it's a fingerprint magnet, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can see that from a mile off. You're like, don't you just gonna put that
Yeah.
up somewhere and never ever touch it
I
because
wanted
it
him
just
to open the box, and it was perfect for that 1 second, that's all I wanted.
that's all you need. That's all you need. Um, but I am printing some other stuff at the moment as well. It's not just I'm trying to not just do Star Wars things. It's
Mhm,
really difficult. Like the minute you get a 3D printer, all of a sudden you're like, I want to print everything.
yeah.
And I'm going to print everything. I've printed the most ridiculous things. Like I've got this here. I don't even know really why I printed it. Um, it's a little box that holds a Death Star coin and the Death Star plans.
Hmm,
They were a Lego giveaway, and someone made the box, and so I was like, right, well, I'm printing that.
okay.
Why? I don't know. Still don't know to this day. But I have also printed a bunch of Lego stands, which I found were really useful for a lot of my stuff, um, and helmet stands. So
Okay.
even though you can see helmets obviously all around here, I do actually have a couple there as well. Because Jesus Christ. Um, but yeah, they're modular, so they actually screw in, and
Oh,
you like to
nice.
print the different parts depending on the size of the helmet. And so I printed all of that. My printer's working currently. It's printing a Red Hood helmet for my son.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but he's gonna have to do all the sanding of that because I'm like that thing needs to be shiny too, so you can do that.
That Django there, my son actually did all the sanding on and the painting
Nice,
too.
nice.
Yeah.
See, it's nice to get them involved with that as well, you know. So it's just like it's just a little bit of something extra. What else have I printed? Oh, I printed my have you seen the film The Black Phone horror film?
The Black Phone with,
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke. Yes, I have.
So that's my Halloween outfit.
Nice. So it's
Because
it's almost like the V for Vendetta type mask. It's like
it
the
is. So
long, yeah.
he's got horns, but then he's
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
three different mouths, nothing, smile, and a frown. So
Nice.
I've actually 3D printed all of those, and they came out so well. In fact, one of them is just drying. I painted the white this evening, so it's just drying on that. So, but it
That's
is one
cool.
of those things where you're like, the minute you start printing stuff, you're like, I'm going to print everything.
Mhm. I
Um,
probably have 30 files saved in my Thingiverse account that I know I'll never get to, but, like,
yeah,
it's like, as the 3D printer was being shipped to my house, I just started buying files and, like,
yeah,
downloading stuff, yeah.
yeah. And I signed up to Jeddah Workshop's Patreon so that because I really like their files. I got their Sabine, I got their Canaan, and they just sent me because if you're a Patreon at a certain level, they send you a file a month.
Yeah. Mhm.
So they just sent me their Moff Gideon. I did print a Moff Gideon, but it came out really badly, so I'm gonna have to reprint it.
Okay.
Um, and so like yeah, I just keep adding things to the list. I'm like, I'll get around to doing that. But like my whole my outfit is ready. I'm just like, stop printing,
Mhm.
start sanding. That's where I'm at. I'm like, you know what? Red Hood's printing. It's a 56-hour print. Let's hope that
It's actually
hour.
not that bad. I would have expected more.
No,
Oh, well, it's, also for a kid, though, so it's probably slightly smaller.
well, you'd think that, but my kid's bigger than me, so no.
Oh, yeah, your kids are grown up, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, yeah. But he turns 18 in
See,
February,
my
so
kid's
yeah.
10, so I
Yeah,
I have
different
to
story.
downsize helmets for him, yeah.
But this is just the front half of the helmet because the back half clips on with magnets.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's easy for him to put on because Red Hood mask is really awkward if you have to put it on
Very
as
form-fitting,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. So so yeah, those are the prints that you're like, oh, I just hope it doesn't fail at hour 53, you know?
Yeah.
And
Red
they
Hood
do.
Red Hood be a good one for resin. like to make that really nice and smooth. And it'd also
Mhm.
be a nice one to do the 2K clear coat, like a really, really high shine clear coat. So that's how it looks in comic books and stuff like that. It's like super shiny. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's how he wants it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get 2K in a can, by the way. It's
Okay.
it's 25 bucks and it's single use. So there's a little vial in the can, and so anyway, you take this piece off the bottom, turn it around, and then you hit it on the ground, and
It
it breaks
mixes.
the canister, and then it mixes.
Nice.
But it has a shelf life of 24 hours, so it's done as soon as you're done spraying, you just gotta throw it away.
Probably worth it though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna do Red Hood, you might as well make it super shiny.
Yeah. We're trying to figure out how to do the eyes at the moment because the eyes are printed separately. And I was just like, his eyes are white, but you're still going to need to see through it. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm thinking about I bought a clear filament. And I'm going to print them with because they're only little. So I'm going to print them with a clear filament and see how it looks,
Mhm.
and go from there really. Because that's the other thing is when you start printing, you're like, oh my god, there's thousands of different colors of filament.
So I found that like when I made this Vader, I wanted the eyes to have the curve to it because the helmet actually has curved eyes in it. But I found that I'm the only one that notices that. So to just use a piece of acrylic taped behind it, even though it's not curving out like it would in the on the real prop or something. I don't know if there is a real Red Hood prop. Is there from uh
There technically is because he was in the show Titans.
Titans? Okay, yeah, okay. So anyway, that's obviously curved, a curved lens or whatever, which is cool. But I find just doing flat ones from behind look just as good. It's only if someone's like looking at it this close where they see it. And if you search Etsy for Batman eye or Iron Man eye, you'll find white ones and they light up. So it's a flat lens that has lots of lines etched into it. And then when the light hits it, it all lights up. So it looks white from this side. But if it's
But you
close to
can
your
see
eye,
it.
you can see through it.
Oh,
And it
that's
works off of
genius.
like a AA battery. It's like really small. And you just
Oh,
tape it
okay,
to the helmet. Yeah.
cool. I will definitely check that out.
Chris
That
did
could
them
help me with
for
like
this. He did red ones for his. I don't know if you've seen his lit up, but it looks pretty cool.
yeah, I have. It does look very cool. So I've got the Daredevil mask as well. I want to do the same sort of thing for that. I don't know why I
That one
printed
will
the
be tough
Daredevil
because
mask.
that one's like right here. Yeah.
Yeah, don't know why I printed it. I just wanted it. I was just like, it's a cool mask, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Daredevil, isn't his eyes black?
They're
Or are they
actually
red?
dark red. Yeah,
They're
they're the same
dark red.
color as his
They
helmet.
match to the lenses of his glasses. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay. I mean, this is it's just like a foil. It's a
Yeah.
really shiny foil, but I don't know if it can. I'll try to get it up to my camera, but you can see through
Oh,
it.
you can see through it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
well, that's pretty
So I
cool.
mean, something like that might work. It's very shiny though. It's like a mirror. It's like a red mirror,
Yeah,
which maybe his eyes are like that. I don't know, but
they
it,
are
it
very much so.
it's paper thin, so you can just tape it in.
Well, that's good because I was really like, I was like, I don't know, I'm going to print these eyes.
Yeah, printed eyes. I've seen people do them successfully with resin. FDM printing, a little different.
Well, this is the other thing, isn't it? It's just like it's only when you really start printing stuff that you realize that the difference between filament and resin is quite big. There's a big difference between that. It's very much I as simple-minded as I am, I always see it as like big printing, PLA,
Hmm. Yeah,
fine detail printing, resin.
yeah. And like this mask specifically, I did an FDM and I sanded it all. In fact, I have it. If anyone wants a filler primed, ready for paint mask Inquisitor, let me know because I have a third one of these just sitting around. Um, but after I was all done with it, I was like, kind of want it to be in resin. I want it to be perfect. Oh, this is too big for 90% of resin printers. So I actually
Mhm.
commissioned it from someone that had a really large resin printer. So
Wow.
yeah, this is all resin. It's
Wow.
yeah. So when it came to sanding it, you basically like I could do this to it and it was like sanded. Like
Yeah. That is something that I'm like, "Oh, do you know what? Damn it, I'm gonna need a resin printer."
it's nice.
Yeah.
It's just they're $1,000 if you want something that could
Yeah.
like, even the printer that does this is over $1,000, and it's not big enough to do a helmet.
Yeah, you see,
So
that's the crazy thing.
yeah.
It's there is still elements of it, although the other day I saw somebody had a walk-in FDM printer, and they were
Really?
printing yes, it was that big. I'll dig out the file because they were printing, like, this, like, 3, 4 foot tall Pokemon
Wow.
all in one. And I was like, that's insane.
Wow.
That's like a 600-hour print, and you're like, if that goes wrong at any point,
I know. Hour 590, it failed, like
every time. It's always the last bit as well. I had it with my Daredevil helmet. Every time it would get to, because I ended up having tried so many times printing it on the flat, so it printed like that.
Yeah,
It was not having it for whatever
yeah.
reason. It just did not. So I had to turn it on its back,
Mhm,
print that way. But then it gets to the details last.
mhm.
So it's done all the easy bits, and then got to the details, and it just kept falling
And
to pieces.
depending on how straight your rails are for your 3D printer, the layer shifts can get worse
Worse.
as it goes
Okay.
up because it's got more wobble or it's just slightly off, square,
So
so yeah.
yours has rails that move up, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
So mine is one where the bed moves down.
Oh, okay. What is it? Bamboo Lab? What is it?
It's something.
Okay.
Why
Not
can't I
important.
remember what it is?
There's like an Ender Pro 5, I think, that does that. I forget all the names of the ones that do that, but that is kinda nice.
Oh, it's a Raise 3D.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's
Um,
well, it's the one that KR Sabers uses.
it's a fancier one, I gather. It's
Oh yeah, it's because I bought it off KR Sabers.
yeah,
Um, he was upgrading, so he was like he was upgrading his 4 that he already had to 4 new ones,
yeah.
and so like
Yeah, see, I just got a cheapo. I got a CR10. I think I paid 400 for it. Um, and I mean, it has its challenges, but I find, I can finish it and make it like even when it has like I have a bad what's it called? Z wobble right now. Or what do they call it? Z drift? I don't know. But anyway, as it goes up, so the one of the rails has like a slight bend to it. So as the rail, this like screw rail spins and it brings the printhead up, it's ever so slightly moves the printhead like this. So
right.
this layers here, this layers here, this layers here, and then this layers here. Then it kind of goes back and forth as the rail turns. And you have to replace a bunch of parts to fix it. So I'm like, add a wall, sand more, done. Like,
Like there's very unless it fails completely, like there's always ways to get around these things. Like I've never got to the end of a print and it's finished, but it's got like a cut taken out of it. I'm like, that's fine. I
yeah.
will live with that. Or like it's got a real scuffy mark on it. I'm like, you know what? What I have been having problems with is when it lays long beds is rippling.
Okay.
Don't know why. I just
I'm not sure.
I ignore it and sand it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like there's so many different things that it could be. You could be there for days, moving stuff, changing stuff, replacing stuff,
Oh,
and
yeah. I
you
can't tell how
you
many
could
times we've leveled the bed and everything
yeah.
else.
And the thing is, you can end up just screwing other things up as well. I have another issue at the moment where in the program I'm using, if I have anything centered, it starts way too far forward, so I have to move everything back, which means I'm not actually able to use my entire bed because it's 30 by 30. So I need to realign that, but I'm like, you know what?
Hmm.
Until I need the whole bed, well, I'm not gonna worry.
It's probably part of the G code for the printer. So it's
Yeah,
the G code has a bunch of stuff that even starts before the model in the code. And so it's probably something that says the code where it thinks the bed is a certain size when it's not or something.
yeah,
So
yeah. I
yeah,
get it.
exactly, right? Like you just kind of press forward. I've
Yeah,
run
I'm
into
just like,
so
I'll
many
move it
headaches.
back a little bit. Don't worry about it. You
There's
know,
so many things that I'm like, I don't even want to fix this. I just know how to get around it. I'm just going to keep going, and yeah, that's what I do. So
and only when it actually is a problem that stops me doing something will I address it. Until
mhm,
then, I'll, if I can work around it, I will.
yeah.
Yeah,
And if it gets bad enough, one of my favorite tricks is to take the support material and a hot knife or a soldering iron, and I just melt it into like a little booger, and I put that into the hole of the that had the print imperfection, and just kind of melt it so that it lays somewhat flat, and then sand it, and you
yeah,
fill it with actual PLA.
that works.
Yeah,
That works.
toxic
No,
fumes though.
yeah, do it outside. It's
Hold
fine.
your breath.
Right, we've been talking a very long time, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like I've learned so much in this chat. And it's been really good to chat to you as well. We don't do this nearly as often as we should. We originally had a plan that we were going to do this every month with Paul, and then he got really, really busy with life.
Oh, that's right. That's where my name came from. We were
That's
gonna
where your
be the
name came from.
Brodalorians.
Yep.
I totally forgot about that. You
Yeah.
even had a logo and everything.
Mate, I've not just got a logo, I've got an entire intro. It's still there, it exists. Like it's still sitting there if we ever want to come back to it. The problem is Paul's like, "Oh, I'm just going to do this really big job and then I'll be back to it." I'm like, no, because once you do this really big job and you do it really, really well, other people are going to want you to do them jobs for them because that's how business works. When you're good at something, people want you more.
Yeah,
And
I don't
that's
hold it
exactly what
against him at
happened.
all. He's making money.
No, God, no, not at all. Like I catch up with him as often as I can, and he's back over in the UK in January, so
Nice.
we'll have time to catch up then. And I've got Stony coming to me this week, which is nice.
Really?
Yeah, he's coming over for about 4 or 5 days.
For anything special other than visiting you?
He's coming over for a gig.
A gig?
Yeah, just like a one round a band playing.
Oh, okay.
So
He's in the
you know,
band or he's just coming to see
no,
a band?
no, he's just coming to see them, coming all
Okay.
the way to London to see them. I'm like,
Stony, unless you're in the band, I don't think you can call it a gig. So just saying.
that's what we call it in the UK though.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
go
when we
to a
say
gig.
gig, it's a job. Like,
Right. No, see, when we go to a gig, we're going to a gig. Going to
really
watch a band.
interesting.
Yeah, a concert. But you see, concert sounds grand, whereas I think this is quite small, so it's a gig. Yeah,
Okay.
just a gig.
Yeah,
But yeah, so hopefully we're going to do some stuff when he's here as well, which would be cool.
that
Which
is
would be
cool.
fun. Yeah,
Don't let him hold that acolyte, that
the
saber trio. What's
Vectra,
the name of it?
the Vectra,
Yeah, don't let him hold that Vectra.
the damage it again. I love that Vectra because I'm like, it's been through so many people's hands.
Yes, it
It's
has.
like it's the baton that's been passed through everybody. And for the time being, I'm the keeper.
All right, yep. Good way to look at it.
Yeah, until it's time for me to move it on, and then someone else.
Mhm.
But no, I love it. I love it because of that. I'm like Stony. I know where this came from. It was Stony. That's funny. It's funny. But thank you for coming on Jim's Cantina. I'm glad we actually finally got around to doing this. Thank you for all your help with all of this printing malarkey. I feel like I'm going back into it knowing a lot more. And I'm sure everybody else out there that's doing this is thankful for everything you've said on this video and all of your videos, because not only do you show it well, but you talk people through it really, really well. And your videos are just great, man. So everybody that hasn't subscribed to the Brodalorian, please go and do it right now because the man's a legend. And all your videos always they're so much better than my videos. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
don't know about that.
No, I do. My videos are me talking to a camera like a moron. Yours, you actually do stuff in them, and I'm like, that's actually really interesting. I just hold a lightsaber up to a camera.
See, my biggest gripe is, and by the way, thank you for having me, and to the 10 people, lightsaber people that actually find this interesting of your community, welcome. But but yeah, no, for me, uh, having to turn the camera on for a step that takes like 5 hours is so frustrating because I all of a sudden I feel like I need to have the lighting right, the angle's got to be right, I got to have the camera in front of me to the point where I can't even see the prop anymore, and I started wearing it on my head just for the ease of filming stuff, and then I get into Premiere Pro and I have to cut 5 hours down to 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I try to record stuff as much as I can, but I'd love to just go out in the garage and just make something and not have to worry about making YouTube videos. So
Hey, I get that. Like I feel you. Sometimes
yeah,
I'd like to just look at a lightsaber without having to turn a video on, but you
sometimes
know
I
what I
just
mean?
want to play with it. I don't want to make a
Yeah,
review.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But it's what we do for everybody else, really, because people do enjoy it, and I know people love your videos. And I'm really pleased that you've got to 1,000 subscribers. I definitely think you deserve more. Um, you deserve them all because you're doing something that sure there's a lot of people out there do it, but I think the fact that you do it so very well, so very informative, you don't. Sometimes I feel like people hide some of the levels of it because they want to
Yeah,
keep their own secrets. You're just like, here it is, here's how to do it, and I feel like
yeah.
you're really supportive in that, and you feel like you're doing this so that people can figure it out themselves. And I think that's a really big deal, and I think that's why your videos are as good as they are.
When I made my first helmet, the Boba Fett, like I only had a couple of resources to learn how to do 3D printing and stuff, and given that's how much I looked for resources. I'm sure there's more than like Galactic Armory and Frankly Built. Those are the two channels that I subscribe to, and they showed me how to fill lines and stuff like that. And I just naturally thought there needs to be more resources, more how-to videos on this, and that's kind of how I created this lane I stay in of these how-to videos. And I don't know, I like teaching people, so it's that part
It's
is
good.
fun for me.
Mate, I don't think I would have tried to do any of this had your videos and as my friend not been there. So I wouldn't have had a clue. Like
Just
you
don't
did
listen to my
I might
opinions,
have.
the stuff 2 years ago, because I was bad. The later stuff's pretty decent.
Well, it's all learning, isn't it? I'm sure that, in 2 years' time, I'll actually be able to tell people how to do stuff with this as well.
That boba helmet is filled with wood filler.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know about the resin, didn't know about the Bondo putty. Like, I just put wood filler on it, waited a day for it to dry, and sanded it down. Worked.
Hey, man, if it works, it works. That's all that matters is at the end of the day, someone goes, fuck me, is that a Boba Fett helmet? And you go, yeah,
Exactly.
what more do you need? But thanks very much. I appreciate you coming on Jim's Cantina. And we'll be having more cantinas coming up very soon. I've got quite a few people lined up, so I'm very excited about that. And hopefully, at some point, Elvis, you'll bless us again with your presence when I go. I don't know what I'm doing again. Can you help?
Absolutely. You can call me anytime.
Amazing. Right. Well, thank you very much. Until next time, he's been the Brodalorian. He's a legend. I've been Jim, and this is Fulcrum and the Force. This is Jim's Cantina, and we will catch you next time.